Who's the one who's keeping the time for me? I think we should time because we expanded my slot from original 20 minutes to 15 minutes. So I'll speak very slow. So, Bergman, thank you for coming to my speech here, my talk. I know it must have been a very difficult decision, choosing between Abigail and Jonathan Worthington and me. So thank you, you are the best. Maybe some of you have gone to YAPC 2009 in this month, where I already gave a talk, which had a little bit of the parts what I will talk about here already. And I spoke then about how we use Perl in our company. And one of the things we used in the tool chain, we used to go from database data all the way to finished report for our clients. I was working at the insurance brokers company. A little bit of that was Latex to produce nice reports. And as this year, the motto of YAPC 2010 is the Renaissance of Perl, and Renaissance was everything with also making nice books. That's when the printed books were invented in that period by Gutenberg. I thought, well, maybe I can speak about Perl and Latex because it's all about, again, making nice books and nice documents. It's Perl and Latex, so I will start by saying a few words about Perl, not about the language itself, because we all, otherwise we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't know anything about Perl. Needs no real introduction. We know its strengths, and one of its many strengths is text manipulation. That's what the original thing was, what Perl did. That's what Larry Wall was doing. He was collecting all kind of log files and running programs on them to see if something was wrong with his many servers he had to administer. So Perl it's very good at text manipulation, getting text in, doing something with them, and getting text out. But it's also one of its weaknesses, because it can only output text. And getting nicely formatted text output is not at all easy in Perl. It's all fine if you're living in the 1970s and all you have is ASCII screens and big noisy line printers which can only print uppercase characters. Then Perl is wonderful. But unfortunately, the technology didn't stop. And Perl has been a bit left behind in producing nicely formatted text output. Fortunately, we have CPAN. What would we be without CPAN? And there are a lot of modules which try to assist us here. We have, for instance, the variable GD text. GD, some of them may have been at the talk previously in the other room, there, or there, about GD and GD graph. So there's also GD text, which can add text to your graphs. But it is quite primitive, and it's always, of course, within a graph made by GD. So try to make a whole report with GD text. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it will probably be not easy and certainly not very pretty. Okay, drop GD text. Why not using immediately the language which is used by a lot of printers, PostScript, which is a language where you can drive printers who understand the PostScript language, and most of the printers nowadays do that. So we have the PostScript module. And then we also have the PostScript simple module, which for sure indicates that the PostScript module is far too complicated to use, because someone had to invent a PostScript simple thing. But still, it's not easy and not at all simple to use. And for special things, we have special modules, like PostScript CD cover, which is very good in making CD covers, but it totally sucks at making statistical reports. If you look at the format of a CD booklet, no, it doesn't really work. So, okay, it's quite specialized, but it's very limited to use. Then I found text simple tape. I thought, yeah, maybe, yes, sure. reports, it's all about tables and graphs, but mainly tables. But then it turned out to be the very old ASCII tables, which crosses for the corners and little dashes and little uprights. So it's good if you want to look at it on a command line interface, really. But it's not really good to produce and go to your boss and say, look at these nice statistics. You'll go like, what? No. So, yeah, but it makes nice tables. If you just have a command line interface and you want to output the table, use it. But not very good. Then I thought maybe text typography. Yeah, typography, yes. But no. Yeah. What it does, for instance, is making intelligent quotes. We have different quotes at the start and at the end of a quote. But it's very limited. It's useful for what it does, but it doesn't produce everything. Of course, we have all the templating modules, and that's already a big step forward. But mainly the templating modules are very much directed towards HTML. Not all of them, and one of them, template toolkit, for instance, can do all kinds of templates, and use those for all kinds of templates. But yes, you can make a template, but the template, what it outputs is still ASCII text, or Unicode text in different places, but it's still not nicely formatted. And you get everything on a page, but how to get nice limits left and right, and well, you'll see what we can do with it later, but it's only a part of the solution. Then, of course, we have all the PDF modules. And yes, of course, PDF is like the pinnacle of files we can make to produce and send all over the world, and they all look on all machines all the same, and they can be very nice. So you have PDF create. But the only thing what it does is it creates a PDF file. It's nothing much in it, really. It's just a PDF file. You put the PDF things in there, it's not very good at that. But we have PDF API too. And this is like the grandfather of the PDF APIs. Unfortunately, in 2008, development and maintenance of it stopped. So we're already like more than 2 years, about more than 2 years, without any maintenance of the PDF API, which is unfortunate. But we also have PDF API 3, which is, if you look at the documentation, it continues where PDF API 2 stops. Because it really has to be totally refactored, which is okay. And then PDF 3.0001 came out, which is the very first version, because PDF 3 starts where PDF 3 stops. So PDF 3.0001 was the first version in 2009, and then stopped again. Maybe it's perfect. I don't know. Maybe it's perfect. It has no bugs and does not have to be expanded and maintained, but I doubt it a little bit. There does not seem to be very much movement there. So, okay. And anyhow, did any one of you ever tried to write PDF code? Don't do it. Don't do it. There lies only pain. Because PDF, it's totally strange. The coordinate system, it's upside down. 0 is on the bottom. So normally the text starts on top, and then you go. So all other coordinate systems for text start on the top left corner for left to right scripts. But this starts on the bottom. So you have to have a high number, and you have to reduce every line height. And it's possible you can work magic in. It's true. But it is you have to calculate from every paragraph how big it is. So you know where the next paragraph will start. And the final paragraph, it's too long to fit on the page. So you have to cut it somewhere. But where? So you have to go line by line and fit it well, it's not impossible, because someone made a PDF report, and really my hat off to the person who made PDF report. It's something where you can make easily simple reports, but mainly like tables in it. And it works quite well. It's regularly maintained. Not say every month a new version comes out, but yes, over the years it's gotten more flexible. But it is also, again, by one trick pony. It can make tabular reports, which is nice if you want to have tabular reports. If you want to have a nice front page and some just text and maybe a graph left or right, it's not really what you need. But it proves that it's possible to do things in, I think it's written in the basic modules page API 2. So it proves it's possible. Only you have to be a bit masochistic to do it. Or like a sage, so you can give it to other people. So it's not it. And there are a lot more modules which deal with text and things like that. Whatever the module, there are only partial solutions to what I call the layout problem. So what is the layout? What you see here is the layout of the typical Renaissance books, the way they conceived how a page of a book should look. And they probably did not draw it with all these circles and lines. They probably just had an idea, like Gutenberg and all the other printers, what was considered to be a nice layout for a book. And it's only quite recently, last century, that people have been studying the Renaissance book printer's art. Because at that time it was as much as an art as being an artisanship. You have to be an artisan, but you have to be an artist, of both. And it turns out that these typical Renaissance layouts, it's all about the golden square. With a circle and the diagonals and 3 on 9 divisions. And it gives a very pleasing view. Look also that the bottom of the page, because the red part is the part where you have your text. And the bottom margin is larger than the top margin. You know why? Once you keep a book, your fingers are on the top here, on the bottom here. So you do not want to cover the text. And it's practical, but it's also very nice. So what's the layout problem? Well, layout is that part of graphic design that deals in the arrangement and the style treatment of elements of content on a page. You just don't slap things on a page just like that. Yes, we do. We all use Word or OpenOffice, which is equally good or equally bad from layout point of view. You probably try to put as much on a page as possible. You start in the very top left corner and go to the very bottom right corner. With lots of things on it. It's all ugly. And I'm guilty of that myself. I'm not a great layout. Not at all. Quite the contrary. And I make very ugly Word and OpenOffice documents. The people who have to read it probably got a headache after 5 minutes. For instance, you know that in German, now German text or English text, the line lengths are different, need to be different. Because English is a lot of small words, whereas German has long words. And if you have a short line length, with long words you get ugly white blocks between the words. Whereas in English you can have a shorter line length and the blocks divide evenly. But nobody thinks about that when he's typing German text or English text or Dutch text or French text, that it has to be balanced somehow. And Word does not give you any clue at all. You can use like 10 different fonts on one page, big and small and whatever. Word and OpenOffice are equally happy about that. So there are certain rules that have to be followed to make the page layout aesthetically pleasing and easy to read. Both things, most of the time, go quite well together. So, since we're all programmers here, is there a way to automate the page layout?